Does Jerami Grant want to join the Nova Knicks? We're going to break that down on today's show as you're locked into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Jerami Grant, maybe he's got a vacation house in New York, but he's been spending a lot of time there, and he's been hanging out with the Knicks, Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson. We're going to break down where he's been seen and what he's been doing this summer, and maybe he is trying to force his way to the New York Knicks. But I do know for a fact that he has been linked in a lot of trade rumors. You just Google Jerami Grant, and you get all three of these links to pop up. Jerami Grant making cryptic posts. He's talking about being traded. And look, that's just the nature of the National Basketball Association, right? When you're a good player on a decent contract and you play for a bad basketball team, trade rumors are going to circle around you because those bad teams, they want to cash in those good players that maybe are getting closer to the end of their years in the NBA, as Grant is 30 years old, and turn them into the picks so they could build their franchise for the long term. And Grant's been mentioned in trade rumors dating back all the way before he was a member of the Blazers and he was a part of the Detroit Pistons. And I remember when he did sign that contract extension a couple of summers ago, there were people across the league, especially insiders, saying this is going to be a very tradable contract in the near future. And maybe as the Blazers try to go more towards a youth movement after they traded Damian Lillard last summer, Grant could be on the way out, and maybe picks could be on the way in. Why does this apply to the Knicks? Because he's been hanging out with the New York Knicks, specifically the Nova Knicks. And if we've learned anything since Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Leon Rose took over as the head of basketball operations for this team, the Nova Knicks have strong power in the decisions and the decision-making of this team. Here's Josh Hart and Jerami Grant hanging out at the U.S. Open. Maybe they're just big-time tennis fans, but I bet they're good friends, and I bet there was a little bit of talk of, hey, we think you'd be a pretty good fit on this roster. Then maybe he's just a fan of the Roomates podcast hosted by Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. And as the Roomates podcast did a live show from Central Park, who was there, who was watching, who was supporting? Jerami Grant. And then Jerami Grant spoke to the media, got interviewed by a couple of people, and he said, I'm always going to support Josh Hart with everything he does. They must be really good friends. And then Jerami Grant hanging out and playing basketball, warming up, getting some off-season runs with Jalen Brunson. There were also some other NBA players there. So I don't want to look too far into this. And I'm sure this is more about friendship. I'm sure this is them in the summer just getting together, Grant finding and hitting up Brunson, talking about working out, getting to spend some time with Josh Hart as Grant is on the West Coast. And now Josh Hart is on the East Coast as they were boys when they were on the Portland Trail Blazers together. But I'm not the only one that thinks that Jerami Grant could be on the list of trade targets for the New York Knicks. Bobby Marks, as well as Zach Lowe, they did a podcast earlier this week where they talked about Julius Randle trade destinations and ideas. They mentioned the Portland Trail Blazers, and one of the names they mentioned coming back from the Blazers to the Knicks could be Jerami Grant. And we've got some thoughts, and we're going to go into an in-depth stat breakdown of Jerami Grant, and we're going to stack them up head-to-head against Julius Randle. And I'm going to tell you which player's better and if the Knicks should make that trade, but I want to hear from you first in the comments section. If you could only have one of these players on the New York Knicks next season, who would it be? Is it Jerami Grant? Is it Julius Randle? Type the initials of the hooper that you want to see playing for the New York Knicks next season right now in the comments section. We'll talk more Grant. We'll talk more Randle in a second. But first, I got to give a major shout out to today's sponsor, my favorite sponsor, Game Time. What time is it? It is game time. And if you're looking for last-minute tickets to go watch the Jets or the Giants this weekend, or maybe you want to get ready to go for the NBA season, you want to watch the Knicks, or you want to go to a concert, theater, event, comedy show, or something like that, get your tickets today at Game Time. And if you use that promo code ChatSports, you're going to get $20 off. So download the app, create an account, use the promo code ChatSports, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. The reason that I only use Game Time when I'm trying to buy tickets is because Game Time values their customers. They make sure that you as a customer get the best tickets for the lowest prices guaranteed. Prices of tickets actually drop as the events get closer. So if you're a procrastinator like I am, this app is perfect for you. And make sure you use the two features that I think are the best of all ticketing apps. The all-in pricing feature. That way, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees when you get to checkout. And the Game Time Picks, it's a new feature that makes it that much easier to go watch your favorite team play. You set it up, you personalize it with all your favorite teams and artists, and the app filters out all the clutter and makes it that much more easier to go see your people and team play. Download the app, create an account, use the promo code ChatSports, just like you see it on screen, CHATSPORTS, and get $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. Best seats for the lowest price guaranteed, and you save $20 by using that promo code ChatSports. Alrighty, a Jerami Grant trade. All the hooplas out there, does it make sense for this basketball team? I think it does on some levels, and then on other levels I don't think it makes that much sense because I don't really know if he is that much better of a basketball player than Julius Randle. 6'8", 210 pounds, and he just turned 30 years old. Whereas Randle is 6'9", 250, and he will be 30 years old in November. You look at what they did this past season. Grant averaged 21 points where he was giving you just 3.5 rebounds. So Julius Randle is a much better rebounder than Jerami Grant. Both going to get you anywhere from 21 to 25 points per game. Randle also a better playmaker. I think he has more gravity when he's on the ball. I think defenses respect him more as a scorer, and Randle is a little bit better of a playmaker, whereas Grant is a much more efficient shooter of the basketball. Over the last couple of seasons, Grant's shooting north of 40% from downtown, and he's shooting 5.4 threes per night over the last 2 years. So this is a guy that with more volume has much more efficiency than Randle from downtown. That's really the difference. Grant is more of your traditional wing, whereas Randle is more of your traditional bully ball power forward. And look, one thing I've always thought about Grant is, man, he puts up good stats, right? He's putting you 20 a night, 5 boards. He's shooting 44% plus from the deck and almost 40% from three over the last 4 seasons. But is he more of just a good team and bad stats guy? Because when you look at what he did when he was a part of the Denver Nuggets, a team that went to the Western Conference Finals in those 2020 NBA playoffs, his stats weren't nearly as great. And I would say he didn't become much more of an on-ball player until he left the Denver Nuggets. But he found a role with Denver, and he played it really well, right? He's going to give you 12 points. He's going to give you a little bit of rebounding. I thought he was a really good defender with Denver as well. But in the playoffs, his percentages really fell off a cliff. And that's kind of where you see and have these players separate themselves from good players to great players. In the regular season, he gave you 48% from the deck and 39% from three. And then he falls to 40% from the field and 32% from three. Scouting reports go out, more attention and film study. He didn't shoot nearly the same. Look, Randle is absolutely a better basketball player than Jerami Grant. Even if you don't believe in Julius Randle, even you guys call me a Julius Randle hater, I'm going to say it. Randle is a better player than Jerami Grant. But there are things that Grant does better than Randle. And I do think some of those things would benefit this team, especially the way that his contract is looked at right now and the way that it is structured. We know that Julius Randle could be a free agent and could leave for nothing this upcoming July. Jerami Grant, he is locked into his contract, $29 million this year, same salary that Julius Randle makes. Then he goes to 32 the next year, up to 34. Then he has a player option in 2027, 2028. If he opts into that, he would then be a free agent at the end of the 2029 season. So he is potentially under team control for the next 5 seasons. And that is something that I think the New York Knicks would value. They are a forward-thinking organization. They like to have that in their back pocket. And Grant gives you another athletic wing, right? You then would have Anunoby. You'd have Mikal Bridges, and you'd have Jerami Grant. That's 3 wings that you didn't have, really, the prior years, and that's always been the Achilles heel of the Knicks since Brunson and Randle became a part of this team. But Randle, I think he just fits a little bit better in the sense of he brings more toughness. Where Randle, 6'9", 250, Jerami Grant, 6'8", 210, you're getting a guy that has a physical attribute to him and can impose himself in a series, hopefully like we haven't seen Julius Randle do in the playoffs before. And he's got more shot creation. You could throw him the ball in that short elbow, in that mid-range, and he could face up, jab step, create a nice pass for somebody else, or go get a bucket for himself. The only reason that you would trade Jerami Grant for Julius Randle is because Randle is going to be a free agent and Grant is under team control at a lower number than Randle is going to sign this summer. If Randle waits until this summer to re-up with the New York Knicks, he could sign a 5-year deal that is north of $300 million. Jerami Grant, nowhere close to that. How about this, though? Randle just plays good in the playoffs. He re-signs with the Knicks, and we never have to talk about trading him again. Because that is all that matters. If regular season Randle, if the 3-time All-Star, the 2-time All-NBA player, if that guy, regular season Randle, shows up in the playoffs, the New York Knicks will add a banner to the rafters at Madison Square Garden. I 100% believe it. But I don't 100% believe the fact that Randle can't do that. He's got to go out and do it. I'm not so sure that he can. I'm not so sure that he won't. He just got to go out and do it. I just can't wait for game 1, man. It cannot get here soon enough. I'm tired of all the offseason chatter. I'm tired of talking about it as well. But it's September 12th, and you can only talk about the season opener for so long. And I know you're ready. I'm ready. If you are, hit that thumbs up icon. Game 1, we're like 50 days away, 40 days away. I think it's 41 days away or something like that. October 22nd. I don't know how many days it is, like 40-something. If you're ready to beat the Celtics game 1, hit that thumbs up icon. And if you could, please, please, please give me a follow on social media. I'm on Twitter, @MarshallGreen_, same handle on IG. Hit me up over there, and let's go Knicks.